Hi, everybody. We're back with Robin Nicole on Awakened Voices. This is session two. We've got an amazing story that unfolded in session one about how she has created her new world. Now we're going to go forward to see how she has created herself and her new persona. So, Robin, welcome back.
Hello, thank you for having me back. I'm so excited to kind of go into the rest of the story. I was kind of nervous, like, how am I going to tell her all of this all in like one, I don't know, hour or something? Like, it definitely, I'm so glad you had me back so that I could tell more because there's so much more. And I really believe that by telling my story will help other people with their own awakenings. It might be totally different, but there might be something in what I tell you today that will help another person. So I'm really happy that you had me back.
Absolutely. When we left you, you had just gotten off of your acupuncture table and you were starting to learn about light infusion.
Yes, that was very interesting. I'm trying to think in my head, where do I go to next? Okay, so I've got my notes here. Um, okay, so after I had the acupuncture treatment, this is when I started spending a lot of time listening. I found Dolores Cannon, okay? And I found what is that dude's name? Brian Weiss
Hmm.
and the other fellow with the Life Between Lives
Michael
thing.
Newton.
Yes. And I had always kind of been interested in near-death experiences as well. And because I always felt like whenever I would hear stories of people with these near death experiences, it kind of would make me realize that like we're not just here once and then we go away and we never come back or whatever. And it helped me with like this fear that I had about dying, the death and dying process. And so hypnosis kind of brought it to another level and like listening to um I did a lot of reading of those books like Brian Weiss and the Michael Newton dude. And I also then I started there was a lot of podcasts about Dolores Cannon. I didn't know who the lady was. In fact, I found her after she died, but like I didn't know she was had died. I think she died like in 2015 when my arm was broken, but I didn't
Hmm.
know. And all these things were coming on afterwards. And I was also learning about channeling and like Cryon, and there was this Michaela Sheldon that I used to listen to, and there was different people that I listened to, and I was going to sound baths and stuff. So like I started listening to all that content and then building my business and being a mom and doing all that kind of stuff. But then on Tuesday nights, I started going to this sound bath that we had in our local town. And I don't know if you've ever been to a sound bath, Nancy, but like
Hmm.
the lady that used to run it here, she had all of the things. She had the bowls, and she had gongy things, and she had tinkle 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 things, and she had all the stuff that you need. Oh, on the one thing I really liked was that the stick that had like
The rain
sounded
stick.
like yes, and then she had something that sounded like waves or something. I don't know, but like I would go, I would go to the sound bath that I had found out about, and you would go in and you would lay down, and there was a lot of that was a really good for me because I was starting to kind of learn how to like go into meditation and stuff without going to the steam room and doing the vacuum thing.
Hmm.
And so, and I was also, I guess I was learning like astral traveling, I guess, or whatever. And I was, and then she would do. a sound bath, and then she would do a shamanic journey at the end of it. She would get the drum out and she was teaching us how to do shamanic journeying. And I am a very vivid visual person, and so it was very easy for me to go onto these journeys and things would happen. And I would have in the sound baths, there was this lady that used to come. I call her the Lady of the Lake, and she would come, and while I was like there, and she would have this like jug and she would add me in a stream, and she would like dump water over me. I don't know what she was doing, and she just kept doing that, and then she would kind of like go like this to me and this, like in the I could see her doing this during the sound bath. And I knew her, like every time I would go, like the Lady of Lake would be there. And then I would have different things happening in the shamanic journeys. And there was sometimes when some of the trauma came up, and like I would be somehow, like there would be spirit animals that would come through and they would help me work through some of the things that I was happening from the trauma that I had before with the ex-husband and my mother and different things, right? And so I would just like little things would happen. And at the same time, I'm learning about Dolores Cannon, and then I got really delved into Elba Wyman. She would put up her sessions, and now she was no longer QHHT. She was trained by Dolores Cannon, but she was no longer QHHT. She went into her own thing, and she still does all of her things in person. She doesn't do like online things. And but she had episode after episode of her sessions. And I was just like taking it all in, like everything, and learning about negative attachments and entities and all those things taking up space, and learning how to like get rid of it and stuff like that. And I was doing all of this. I started watching what she was doing in other people's sessions before I ever did hypnosis or anything. And I started doing that during my vacuum thing. If I felt like there was something that didn't belong there, I would ask it to leave and vacuum it out, kind of thing. And so like I was doing all this intuitively before I ever had a session or anything. But then so I had been going around doing all that, and I think I remember like it was around 2000, that was in 2017 that I was doing the things. And people were saying to me that would see me like out and about, they would say, "Oh, you look like you're glowing. Oh, you look good. What have you been doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've been going to this sound bath." And then and then I was creating, I created some of my pieces, that like these pieces that I have, that one with the unicorn behind me,
Mhm.
and my tiles. I was having visions of things when I was in the sound baths and stuff, and so then I would recreate it on my tiles. And so I was doing all of that, and then in 2018, it was Tim and I, our anniversary was in February, and he was like, "Do you want to go to one of those float tank things?" Because like we had just had like a float, the float tanks.
Mhm.
And he was like, I'll pay for you to go to one of those float tank things." And I was like, "I don't want to go to a float tank. I want a QHHT session." I was like, "I want my own hypnosis session so that I can go and I can talk to my higher self, and I can get all the answers to all my questions, and I can go right to this direct, instead of like having like a psychic tell me things. And I want to know, and I want to know why I'm here, and I wanted to know so many things, right?" And I knew that by listening to the QHHT and Dolores Cannon and her technique and everything, that I could possibly go to a session and like get all my answers. And so, me being the way that I am, I I found a lady. She was in Cove, and she was actually in Cove. You know where the Titanic left from?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes.
where this lady lived. And she was actually trained by Dolores Cannon, but she said that she did a different type of hypnosis now, which would be like more like a clinical thing like what you do,
Mm-hmm.
but that she would incorporate some of the QHHT into my session where she would do the body scan and she would do the letting me ask questions and stuff to my higher self. And so I went through like 3 weeks before my session and I compiled everything I wanted to know. And I also compiled a whole list of all of my ailments and everything that's happened to me in my whole life, like sicknesses and different things. And I wrote it all down so she would have a whole backlog of everything so she would know if it came up in my session, then she would know. I just like, I felt I wasn't even a practitioner or didn't even do any of this. And I just was like giving her all the information that she would normally do in an intake. I was like doing it already. And I had I think 3 pages or 4 pages typed, and I had questions. I had questions listed from when, like, depending about how much time we would have, and if the guides would give me the information, I had a list of questions. And like I put the priority up at the top, and like in case we didn't get to all of the questions. And so I went to this session anyway, and um, it was absolutely like that was the thing that totally and completely started opening everything up. Like that was like before I went to the session, I was one person. And then after I went to the session, I felt like I had answers and I knew direction of where I was going to go and what I was here for and why I was doing everything that I was doing. So I felt a little bit more, you know what I mean? Like,
A little bit more
I had
comfortable.
no idea what I was doing, and then all of a sudden I've got all these answers. So will I tell you what happened in the session? I did have a very boring life that I went to, by the way, that I was kind of like disappointed when I got there. I was in this lifetime with this I don't know if it was Chinese or something, but I was like a man and I had one of those like Chinese hat things on, and I was on one of those boats where you stand up and it has like a oar that
Right.
like it's big and long and you kind of go through the glide through it and there's like reeds, like it was like in a place where there was like all of these reeds. It was like very kind of swampy kind of
Mm-hmm.
place that I was at. And I learned that I was like this old man that lived by myself, and there was a dog that sat there on the boat with me. And I don't know, I think I was a fisherman or something. And every now and then I would go into the town and I would sell the fish. And then I
Mm-hmm.
would spend all my time on this boat by myself. And I thought this is the most boring. This is the most boring life. I was thinking I was gonna have something amazing happen, and I was in. So this happens, right? When you go into these sessions.
Well, remember your subconscious mind is showing you something
Hmm.
that you need to know in this life a lot of
Well,
times.
well, I tell you what happened. So ended up that this town that he lived in was being taken over by a tribe or something. Like another kind of tribe, like fighting kind of with like spears and stuff like this. I don't know what kind of tribe that would be. Don't know where I was. Like, I don't know what year it was or anything like that. But I sat on that boat and I stayed away from everything about like what was happening and I didn't get involved because I felt like I just minded my own business on this boat.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do anything and I didn't help anything and I didn't get involved. And then ended up being there was the town got taken over and all of the women and there was a lot of killing and things like that. But then the men that stayed alive, they all got tied together with like ropes, and like they had to walk for miles to some other place, and it was like dusty, and I was tied on with these other people. And when people would if people would fall or yell out or whatever, they would just stab them or whatever, and they were dead. Like they weren't giving you any water. It was like days and days walking across the desert and trying to like go where they were telling you to go, and doing what they were doing, and people were just dying. They couldn't walk any farther and they were dying. And at one stage I died. Like I just couldn't go any farther. I was an old man and I was stuck to this thing and I hadn't had any water and I just couldn't go any farther, and I just collapsed onto the thing, and then they knifed me or whatever and cut me off from the thing so that they could keep going. And when I was hovering over my body, when she asked, like I wasn't even affected. Like I wasn't like I didn't have an abreaction. I wasn't affected by this at all. But when she asked like what did they want, what did he want to say to me? And he said, I stayed quiet and I didn't speak my piece. And look what happened. Maybe if I had said something, maybe if I had done something to help, then maybe the town wouldn't have been in that problem and they wouldn't have gotten taken over. But he refused to get into the fight or whatever, and basically was telling me that I had to speak my truth in this
Speak up.
lifetime. That's why I was taken there. Is that the answer? That's
Hmm.
kind of what they were saying. I can't remember exactly because it's been a long time, but that was kind of the gist of it, was that I needed to not just stand by and allow things to happen.
And you took that into your today world.
Yeah, and then I think I had another life that I went into, and it was a boy in the Holocaust, and I was a Jewish boy, and my family had gotten taken from the place, our house, and I had gotten away somehow. I got not taken by the Gestapo, and I was hiding in a tree in a valley somewhere in the mountain areas, and I was hiding in this like big, huge tree that you could actually get inside. It had like an opening or whatever, and that's where I was living for a long time, and trying not to get caught. And I ended up getting caught, and it was near the end of the war, and I was like 16 years old or something, and so they used me to as like a worker to help with the bodies and pile them in, like I had to pile them into the big pits and stuff like that. And I saw myself at the end of that lifetime. They basically, I think from what I understand, I think it was you I was telling afterwards, and from what I understand, at the end of the war, right when they knew they were going to get in trouble, so they were killing people off in the camps or whatever. And so I think I got caught in that crossfire because they had us all stripped down from in our little, like wherever like one of those long places where you sleep,
Barracks.
and they had us run around like this with in the circle with naked, and then they just shot us all down. And it was like right when the Americans were coming to help people. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Yes.
I think you remember telling me that that's what happened. So what I got from that lifetime was it's safe now in this lifetime to like in that lifetime it wasn't safe to be Jewish. It wasn't safe to speak your whatever your religious beliefs or whatever you had. And in this lifetime, my that person or that boy wanted me to not be quiet anymore. And tell me that it was safe to tell my story like what we're doing right here today.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's safe, that I'm not going to get killed for it, kind of thing,
Very good.
or punished for saying it. So that's what I learned in those lifetimes. So then when I died, of course, then that's when the QHHT lady started doing all my questions and stuff. And um so she did like this body scan, and she went through the whole thing of like all of my things that happened to me physically, like medically.
Mm-hmm.
And every time it came up that the reason why that happened was because I came out of balance, and um, it was like my body was a barometer. So if I started listening to my body, and when things would happen to my body, then I wouldn't be taken down totally like I did when I got my arm broken and stuff. If I had just listened to my body a little bit, that I needed to kind of keep in balance, like that I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have these extreme ruptures kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing happening. So that I learned that about my body when I was in there. And then I learned about my purpose and my life purpose. And at the time, it was like my purpose in life is in the awakening of this. I am a way shower of freedom. I'm here to, they called me the daughter of light, and I'm here to hold the frequency of light and to show people how to use the light, to be the light, to hold the light, and to be the multidimensional beings that we are. And I'm here to teach by example. And by me telling my stories and me showing how I healed myself, then I'm showing the example, I guess, and then other people can learn from that. And I'm not here to dictate. I'm not here to become a guru. I'm not here to like say, this is how I did it. You have to do it this way. I'm not here to form a religion or anything. But what they showed me and from what I've learned, this didn't happen in the session, but from what I understand now, looking back, is everything that I've learned is all kind of like mysteries of ancient knowledge that's been hidden from us for years and for a long time. And I learned throughout all of these things that happened to me all about the hermetic teachings and how to like take back my power, and how to live without like being put underneath like this system or whatever. So I'm here to basically help build out the new earth. I'm here to say, okay, we want something different. So that's what I'm here. I'm here to kind of help usher that in. I'm not the only one, but that's like kind
Mm-hmm.
of why I came. It's kind of why my soul wants to be here. My soul put me through all of these things so that I could evolve, so that I could then help other people evolve by watching me do it,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
And so then they started telling me, so that was kind of my purpose. And then I had a whole list of questions, and like I can't remember all of them, but I do remember asking about crystals because I loved crystals and I didn't know why, and like it was this part of what was I supposed to do with them and everything. And they told me that I had a lifetime. When I say they, it's my higher self kind of
Mm-hmm.
told me or reminded me or whatever, that I had a lifetime in Lemuria as a high priestess. And during that lifetime, I had encoded many crystals. Part of my job was with these crystals, with a lot of things I did in other places was with these crystals. And it was to help for now, for when it's help for helping the remembrance And so they basically told me that I had encoded a special one for myself, a Lemurian seed crystal, and that I would find it. It would come to me at the right time. And when it came to me, it was the key to all of my remembrance of that lifetime so that I could incorporate the teachings from that lifetime into my lifetime now so that I could evolve and move forward. And so that was one thing. And then they told me as well that I would also be involved with a collective of people doing something with crystals, but they didn't really tell me exactly what I would be doing.
Okay.
But it had something to do with these Lemuria. And in this whole session, I never knew about Lemuria. I didn't know what Lemuria was. I didn't know anything about it. And so like I walked away with this whole like that was information that I had had. And so then I walked away and I was just kind of living my life. I think I listened to my session about 50 times afterwards so that I could get it all in and figure it all out. And then 2018, towards the end of there, that was in February, March. And then in 2018, around September-ish, I had this student that used to come for the pottery for classes. And it was an adult, and I was telling her all these stories about what happened to me and the beings and all this, and I was testing because I had never like told what was happening to anybody. And I was a little bit kind of thinking they might think I have like 50 heads on me or whatever. So I was very careful about who I shared this with. But I had been sharing this story with her. And so we had kind of like a little bit of, we were okay like talking about weird things like this. And she was into yoga and she wanted to go to this yoga festival and she couldn't find anybody to go with her. And I wasn't really that much into yoga. I had done it when I was younger, but I wasn't into yoga, but I said, okay, I'll go with you because you have nobody else to go with you. And when you go to these yoga festivals, it's kind of like, remember when you had your conference and like you have like little stalls or whatever?
Hmm.
So there was this lady at this stall and I kept going back. I wasn't interested in yoga. I didn't do any of that. I just kept going around to the stalls and this one lady, she had this stall that was very intriguing to me. And there was this book on her stall, but the book was like covered with like cellophane, so you couldn't you couldn't look into the book. It was just you could look on the outside of it and everything. And I kept going around. I was like after I found out afterwards that she thought I was stalking her. But I kept going back to her stall and I wasn't buying anything because the book was like 85 euros or something like that. It was really expensive. And I was just I didn't have that kind of money with me. And I was just kind of like, I really want that book. So I took like the pamphlet that she had about the book and I took that away with me. And I just kept, there was something about the cover of this book and there was something that was drawing me into it. And I didn't know why. I didn't know what this was. And that year for Christmas, I put it on my list. I said, I need this book. Tim found it at a cheaper price. And I think the book came in like January. And this is the book. It's called Beyond Doorways. Can you read that the right way?
Yep, it's reading.
Okay. By Alexis Cartwright. It's The Mysteries Revealed. And in this book, it's very long. It's got like the Bible in here of everything, of esoteric mystery school type things in it. And it was kind of like, whoa, I was being totally and completely stretched by this book because this book was like next level. I had never like gotten, it was like, we're talking information about Lemuria, we're talking Atlantis, we're talking Jesus and the Egyptians and the whole thing with the Essenes and all of this information, all was like
Hmm.
opening me up, stretching me, trying to kind of like understand all this stuff. And at the same time, like right before that, I had gone to a Lemurian for Diane Cooper.
Mm.
Does that ring a bell to you? I don't even know if I even have the book anymore. But there was a lady in my area near where the place where I had the sound bath that was kind of like she had taken classes on how to do Lemurian crystal healing through the Diana Cooper way. And so I had gone to like a day workshop learning how about these crystals, and I was like, because in my session I was told that I was going to be working with Lemurian crystals. Didn't know what this all was about, so I was kind of trying to learn about it. And so I had gone to this thing, and I learned a lot that day, and I learned about the unicorns, and the energy of the unicorns comes from the seventh dimension frequency kind of thing or whatever. I learned a lot of stuff there that day. And still at the same time, then I got this book as well. And so I had kind of like ask my guides, do I need to like go become like a teacher and spend like thousands of euros on this becoming like a Lemurian crystal healing thing? And at the same time, I ended up having, I think I had another session or something, and I that was one of the questions I asked again. I was like, what's this about the Lemurian crystals and all the rules and regulations around them about like do they have to come from this place in Brazil or wherever, eh, like what makes it Lemurian? And basically the answer that I got was, do you think that Lemurian crystals only come from one mine and that they're only like from Diana Cooper's thing, and that like it was kind of like basically telling me that these crystals are all over the world. They're not just in one place. They just happen to be found in this one mine, and then these people start taking like you have to get one from here or whatever. But if you find one and it's from comes from the ground or whatever and it feels right and it's working for you, then it's like it's okay to use that or whatever. So I had started doing my own Lemurian crystal circles with like about 5 or 6 people in my area. And then we started getting together at my house and we started having the most amazing experiences. And this is before it was just like in 2019. And um, so I had been running these things and just kind of off the seat of my pants. I wasn't like I wasn't, but they were telling me that because I was a high priestess in the time as of Lemuria, it was all natural. I didn't need to go take a course and get certified because it was already in me, like from like that lifetime. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And so I had been doing that, and I had been doing some things with the Flower of Life in Michigan. They had like these podcasts where they would do these weekends where Michaela Sheldon would come on with her channeling, and this other guy, Ethan Fox, and then he would do this like energy transfer thing. And there was a woman there named Barb Maury, and Barb was an older woman, retired woman, and she would told the story about how she could see auras from a young age, and she loved crystals as well. And she um, she taught me a lot, and we became friends. Anyways, I ended up texting her privately, and we ended up becoming very good friends. And she texted me one day and she said, there's this man from Florida that sent me this Andara crystal, and I don't really know anything about it, but I feel like for some reason you need to be involved in whatever he's doing. And so when he sends you a friend request, please accept it. And because she knew I wouldn't accept from because I don't accept
Mhm.
friend requests from people, especially men that I don't know. And so he sends me the thing. And at the same time, I had been reading this book. And I was at the stage of this book where I was learning about the earth chakras and that we all had that there was different chakra points across the earth. And in that, there was three chambers of the heart chakra, and the hill of Tara in Ireland was the second chamber of the heart chakra. So I had just learned that. I had just read it in the book. And so I'm on the phone with this guy, and he's telling me this story about how he had this like 3 day altar experience. I don't know what it wasn't. He said it was happened when he was sleeping, but he wasn't asleep. So I guess it was a lucid kind of thing. And he was told or guided, directed to send I think I can't remember how many Andaras around the world to different people. And he didn't know what he was sending them for. Each person would know what they were supposed to do with it when they would get it. And I said to him, "Well, if you would like to send me one of those, if you feel called to do that, then I will take it to the Hill of Tara and place it somewhere in the second chamber of the heart chakra for you." And he was like, after he had heard about that I was doing the Lemurian crystal circle healing things, he said, "I'm going to send you two." And he says, "I want you to keep one for yourself for your circle thing, and I want you to use the other one to place wherever you feel called to place it." And I was like, okay, so this is where it all starts now. The whole interesting part of the story. Okay, so if you don't know what an Andara is, they have atomic. Do you know anything about Andaras as far
Just
as like
what you've told
what's
me.
monotonic solids or whatever? They have Ethereum inside of them, and they come from this Lady Nellie place up near Mount Shasta, somewhere in California. And it's a secret place. Nobody's supposed to know where it is, I guess. This Mickey Magic guy has them. Anyways, this guy sent me this guy sent me two of them. And they were very small and they look like glass. They don't look like they're anything, right? But it's this ethereum that makes them be kind of interdimensional, multi-dimensional, and from what he explained to me is they can be like in 11 dimensions at once. And Daros also are very chatty to the person that they come to. They do a lot of like talking to them. I didn't understand it. I was like, whatever, just send me the crystal. I'll see what happens. I don't know, right? And so I got the crystal or the Andaras, and I put one on my. I was laying in the sauna, and I was putting one on my third eye and one on my heart, and I'm laying there like and doing my meditation or whatever is gonna happen. Tell me talk to me, Andara, since you're so chatty. Tell me what you're gonna say or whatever. And all of a sudden, there was this dragon that came over me, and the dragon was kind of showing me how to spin my Merkaba. And I was like, what the heck are you doing? And why are you making me spin my Merkaba? I don't understand. And I need explanation. And because I'm not going to do something then just because I had to get my own agency, and I'm not just going to do something just because somebody tell a being or a dragon comes in and tells me I have to do something. I'm not going to do it unless you give me a very good reason why I'm supposed to be doing this. This is the kind of person I am. And so I was like having this conversation with this dragon, and this dragon was telling me that I do a lot of astral traveling while I'm asleep. And that's well and good. Everybody does it. But I needed to start consciously astral traveling because there was a lot of places I needed to go, a lot of places that I needed to learn some information from, and I needed to be able to do this while I was awake and conscious so that I would be able to understand the teachings of what I was about to embark on. I was like, okay, so what's this about this Merkaba Merkaba spinning thing? And then he was like, well, you have to be able to kind of like spin it. So then he started showing me how to kind of like focus. Um, got my Merkaba kind of like going with these Andaras, helped it or something. And it started doing this woo thing, right? You know, like the thing that happens when your Merkaba is spinning.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, "Now focus like an energy strand or like a light or like a strand of energy. Focus into me and come to me." And so when I took your astral travel class, I realized that what he was doing was he had gotten me into this thing. I was in the sauna. I was in a healing chamber to begin with when this happened, and he had gotten me. It was in like a pyramid, which remember when you were teaching about that? You
Mm-hmm.
go into this pyramid, there was like a circle or something on the bottom, and there was like a
Circle, square, pyramid,
rocket ship thing or
rocket ship.
whatever, whatever. But then he was having me shoot up to him, and then he was going to take me somewhere. Whereas, like when you were teaching the class, you were like shoot up through the tunnel thing to this thing and to this void area or something, and then you
Astral
go
zone.
from there to where you're where remote
Mm-hmm.
viewing or where you're going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was just teaching me that part, just to kind of go to him at that stage.
Okay, we
And
got
then
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay.
We got
Oh God.
15 minutes and we're on hour two.
Oh gosh. Okay, so then after that he we shot I went and the Andara basically told me they told me when I was able to do this on my own, then it was time for me to place the Andara. I would keep the one and the other one would go to the Hill of Tara in this special well. They gave me all these directions. And the reason why I was placing it into this well was to bring forth the crystalline high vibrational waters back into the earth, and that where I would place it in this well, it would the water would flow up and it would go down a stream and it would go into the water and all this. And these Andaras are interconnected to each other. So it started this whole Andara project. Okay. So I did that. I went there, I put the thing, had a magical experience. Everything was amazing. And then after it was all over with, I went back and I was going back to New York. I have to tell this quick because I want to be able to tell you what happened after I got this after New York. So I went to New York to visit my parents because my parents weren't doing very well, and I thought I need to go see them before I don't want to have to go over there for a funeral. I want to see them alive. And it was in 2019 was a good thing I did because COVID came in after that, and I wasn't there when I couldn't go to them when they did die. So I was able to go to them. And so I had this ticket and I'm in the thing after I did the Andara release, and all the energy was high, and I'm asking, is there something I'm meant to do when I'm in New York? And they were like, you didn't think you were going just to see your parents, did you? And so yes, and it involved another Andara, and it involved me calling this guy that gave me the Andaras and asking him if we could get another one because we needed to open up a portal in New York, in a place where I grew up in Fillmore Glen, to help the elementals come through because a lot of elementals came in with me when I was at the Hill of Tara, and they wanted to be able to open up this portal that had been closed so that they could come in and they could do some grid work and stuff. It was for them to come in and do stuff. So, and they told me who I needed to be here. And there was this girl that I had, my hometown friend and our childhood friend Amy, who needed to be there because I needed to do some Lemurian work with her. I thought I needed to do the crystal thing where I had all these little crystals and we were going to do this thing that I did in my circle thing. Never got to that when I was there. And what ended up happening was this guy ended up meeting me there. Like instead of just sending me these Andaras, he actually met me there and we released it. He gave me a whole slew of Andaras afterwards because he said that I was the only one that was actually doing anything that he had sent them to. So he gave me a whole box of them. I went back to Ireland. He says, place them wherever you feel called and do whatever you feel like you need to do. So I had this whole like Andara project placement thing that I had done. But when I was there, I had forgotten about this whole Lemurian crystal thing that was told in my session that I would acquire someday when I was ready for this key. And so we were all there, me and there was five of us, and everybody was like doing this thing, getting ready to go place the Sindara. And my friend, everybody was showing off their crystals. Everybody had their crystals with them. We were saging each other. We were doing all this stuff, right? And my friend Amy, that I grew up with, she brings out this massive fucking, excuse my language, Lemurian crystal. And I was like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. Oh my God, I gotta go have that. Where did you get that? And she's like, my aunt has a crystal shop and I got it from her shop. And I was like, oh, I gotta get me one of those before I go back to Ireland. And she was like, they're closed. My aunt's on holiday. She's off in like Myrtle Beach or something. And I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And then she kind of like walks away and everybody's still things. And I see her kind of like walking around. And then all of a sudden she comes back to me and she very like abruptly hands me this crystal and she says, they tell me that it's yours. You need to take it. Take it. That's yours. That's a very expensive crystal. I can't take that from you. And she was like, no, I can get another one. My aunt owns the shop. Like, I can get another one. So take this. And so I take it. And then I was like, oh my God, it's mine. And then as we were walking up to go release the Andara, I held this baby and I started hearing it say, this was the crystal that you encoded back in the times of Lemuria. And the reason why I needed to have it acquired to me, and it was when I was home in New York, and I couldn't find it when I was in Ireland, was because I had this there ready for me in New York. And somehow I ended up in Ireland. And so when I came back to New York, it was there for me.
Very
Like I had
good.
placed it. And so I take it back. And so I ended up on the plane. I held this thing all the way back to Ireland. I did not put it in a bag or nothing. This was with me the whole way I was going back to Ireland with. And um, I get back to Ireland. Well, right before I had left, Tim had had a stroke. And so he had been 14 days in the hospital after just having a stroke. He's making this decision that I should still go to New York because my parents need me. And so he said he has plenty of brothers and sisters that can take care of him, and that I needed to go because I really needed to go say goodbye to my parents. And I needed to have some closure in New York. And so I ended up going for, it was like 30 days without going for that swim and without doing any kind of like, what you call it, like any kind of, what do I say? I stopped doing all of my regulation, all of my coping skills. And so it got to a point where I didn't want to, I came back and then I was just like, I didn't want to be here. I knew I was supposed to do all of this work and I was feeling like the guides were not helping me. I was feeling like, well, how am I going to tell my story? All of this kind of things going on in my head and like, how am I going to do this? And I can't do this and I don't want to be here anymore. You know the moment when you don't want to be here anymore. You're just like,
Hmm.
I'm done. And I had this crystal with me and I was in the steam room. This has to be told before you cut me off. Okay, so I was rubbing. There was a little spot on here. It's not here anymore. Because see where there's like a pyramid
Mm,
here?
yeah.
And I was rubbing hair like around here and I was crying and I was telling my guides I was done. I was telling them that they failed me and that like all of the things that you do when you're kind of like in that moment when you're ready to just say I'm out of here. And if you're not going to help me and if you're not going to help me get where I need to go, then I'm out of here. I'm sick of this life. I'm sick of this crap that I'm having to go through. You know it because you've told me many times you have felt that way. And so I'm there and I'm in the steam room. I'm all by myself. There's nobody with me. It's kind of a dark room. And I'm rubbing this thing. And all of a sudden, there's this tunnel. It was like a purple tunnel. And I heard a voice say, slide down that tunnel, go. And so I slid down the tunnel and I landed into the inner earth. And those beings that helped me from the energy thing, they were
From
there.
the energy balls.
Yeah, they were there. And they told me that they were the Council of Nine and that I was part of this Council of Nine. And I had learned that when I was in my session. That's another thing I had learned in the QHHT session because I wanted to know who these blue beings were. And so they had told me they were the council. I was part of them, and the Council of Nine, it was where I came from. It was part of like my mission. And so they were there in this inner earth thing, which they told me this Council of Nine didn't come from like another planet. It came from like, I don't know where. It wasn't like a planet. I wasn't getting a planet like Arcturian, Andromedan, or anything like that. Just getting the Council of Nine. So I have a feeling now that I think they're like the Telosians or the whatever those beings because
They're earth
they're
beings.
Lemurian or whatever
Right.
kind of
They're
beings. And so they took me into a healing chamber inside of there, and there was I think blue or purple light that day, and as they were infusing me with this light after I was just so upset, they started telling me again what my mission was, what I was here for, and they made a deal with me. They told me that if I followed through and did what they asked me to do or what they showed me, if I just kept following through, that they would make sure that I could come back to this healing chamber anytime I wanted to. And I could recalibrate, regenerate, whatever. And so that happened. And that's when I realized that this actually is a key. And then I got out of the water and then I looked in and I saw there was a pyramid, like I showed you earlier. I don't know
mm-hmm.
if I can get it to the angle right around here. There's
Mm-hmm.
a pyramid inside there. And I had encoded that pyramid so that I could find my healing chamber, basically, back front up, so that when I could do all this work. And then after that, everything kind of started unfolding. We went into lockdown and I started having regular experiences in the inner earth astrally where I started getting education and learning about Lemuria, inner earth, where the Lemurians went, what everything about Lemuria. And so I ended up just I just wrote all of the stuff down and everything. And then they started teaching me how to use the light infusion, and they started teaching me how to recalibrate, regenerate, and all that because I have a lot of like physical problems with my body. And so they started teaching me how to direct this light in and do all of that, if to make a long story short. So basically, that's kind of like what happened. I have more of a journey, but it's it goes way there. It ends up I had lots of like things with the dragon realm. The dragons came in. I learned a lot from the dragons, and I ended up having all these things. When during the lockdown, I started listening to this audiobook, not understanding. It was called
The
the
Kabbalion.
the Kabbalion,
Mm-hmm.
which was the Hermetic teachings. And I don't know how I got that, but it just happened to be like a free audiobook on YouTube. And I just started using that when I was walking and I was listening to it over and over at different places and was picking up at different spots and I didn't really understand it. And then I had this astral journey where I ended up in this dragon realm and they gave me the emerald tablets and a golden egg and um, this like elixir, and I ended up realizing that the that Thoth and the Emerald Tablets were also the same thing as the Hermetic teachings because it was the same Hermes and I can't Thoth or however I
Toth.
don't know
They're the
were the
same.
same one and the same. And then I started learning all about the hermetic principles and incorporating them into my life. And
So
now,
at some point you wrote a book.
mhm. So I ended up writing a book compiled about all of this stuff and my experiences and everything that I had, and didn't really realize it until like I got that book and I wrote that book and I published it.
Which
I'll
is
show you
available
guys
on
my book.
Lulu.
Um, it's called Bringing Forward Bringing Forward a New Golden Age of Miracles. Alchemize your mind, body, and
Put it
life
down
on.
a little bit down. There you go.
There. It's my circle lamp is kind of reverberating. And I
And it's
self-published
available
it.
on Lulu, and the link will be in the
Yes,
comments.
yes. And it's available on ebook and it's also available on what you call it on regular
On
print book like
physical. Yeah.
this. And it is a little bit more expensive than normal because it's all self-published and it's print on demand kind of thing. And I couldn't make it any cheaper than what it is.
Don't
And
apologize for your work.
yes, and so after this got published though, and then over Christmas, I didn't know this, but I started realizing or learning that this book, I wrote a mystery school unknowingly. And
Okay.
so I have a YouTube channel where I was starting to do the teachings of all of this stuff and trying to like
And you'll find
incorporate
the
all of
YouTube
that.
channel in the
Yeah,
comments.
it's the same title. It's the same as Bringing Forward the New Golden Age of Miracles is the name of the YouTube channel. And but then I kind of got stopped when I was doing the YouTube channel because I realized that it wasn't the right container for this work. This is mystery school level type work, and that I needed to kind of like bring it into a container where it could be honored. And so I'm working on taking the teachings that are in this book and turning them into the whole mystery school experience. And there will be, I think, four tiers. And in my mystery school, I'm working on building that out. It's part of my project that I'm going to be building out for it to be ready next year. On 2027, I think I'll be launching it. And if anybody here is interested in being piloting or beta testing the the mystery school as I'm trying to kind of put it up and get it working right, um, let me know if you would like to do that. And but if you're beta testing, what I really want is the person that actually wants to commit to actually. They don't want to just like read it, but they want to actually try out the procedures and things and give me feedback as to how it's working for them. And so that's what I'm doing. And then I'm
Robin,
actually
you'll see on the Awakened Pathways page, you can put all this information so that they can get all of the information about the classes that you're doing and what you're doing.
yeah,
Just
but that's all gonna be there's gonna be like a year before any of that is kind of like all ready. And then also I'm also working on I'm going into an incubation period for the next like I start my 9-year cycle next year. And my whole next 9-year cycle, because I've gone through these cycles of all this healing and all this stuff has come through and everything, like all that stuff that happened that I told you about happened in a 9-year cycle from 2015, from the time that my arm broke. And everything that happened before that was another 9-year cycle. So I feel like I'm going into this 9-year cycle of incubation, and I'm getting ready to delve into writing a seven series fictional book that is around all of this. The characters will be going through their own awakenings in each of the books. And then after they go through their awakenings and they start learning how to clear their wounds and all this kind of stuff, they're actually going to get together and create a sustainable community, like a New Earth type of community. And they're going to build it out in the book. And so I'm really getting excited about that.
Excellent. So you have had one heck of a journey. And
Yes,
where
I
you
have.
are sitting today is in a place of teaching and in a place of being comfortable with your own spiritual journey.
Hmm.
So,
And also, I'm kind of like in this place where my whole belief system has shifted throughout all of this. It's stretched and shifted, and then I had new ways of thinking and everything. And I went from being a person that gave all of my power away and did what I was told just to kind of like keep everybody happy and everything all whatever. And now I am realizing that I am the creator of my own reality. I am a multidimensional being of light, and I need to create my own world around me. There is nobody or no one, no beings like they're very good. These beings, they come in and they teach you things and they help you and they wake you up and all of that, but none of them can change your reality. You have learned that I have to do this myself. And so when I say I'm going into an incubation period, I'm going into an incubation where I'm beginning now, I'm creating now. I'm creating my own reality. I'm creating the way that my life, the way I want my life to be. And the way people think I'm funny or they think I'm weird because I say I live in a high vibrational, seventh dimensional new earth bubble. It is my life and it's here and I've created it in my area, in my
very
where
good.
I'm living, and this is my life, and I know that I'm the one that needs to direct it. And so I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I'm no longer giving my power away to
Very good.
other, even the beings, all these lovely beings that came in and helped me. I know that they only came to show me so that I could remember.
Very good. Well, I thank you for sharing your journey. I
I thank
thank
you
you
for
for
letting
being
me.
so open, and I know that your story will help others. And I also know that you are open if anyone has any questions. Robin is a part of the Awakened Pathways school page. You can always ask questions and she's there to answer.
Hmm.
Okay?
And also, like on my, if because people that are in the awakened pathways, they also interested in hypnosis, obviously, right?
They can be.
Yes. If you're interested in hearing some of the hypnosis sessions, I do have them on my YouTube channel as well. I have a lot of people that have come to me since I've been doing this hypnosis, that we've been, instead of doing regression, we've been going into this progression and
Mhm.
learning their role in the new earth and like what they're going to do and how they're going to get there. Each person is different. Each person has their own story. And I started sharing some of the sessions.
Mhm.
So that's there for people to watch as well if they would like to see
Excellent.
those. And if they would like to have a session like that, they could come to me as well. Or you can
As I
come to
said,
Nancy because Nancy's real good at it.
as I said, on the Awakened Pathways page, you can find Robin and all that she does. And we can open conversations. If anybody wants to open another conversation with her, we can open conversations anytime.
Hmm.
And I thank you for being on Awakened Voices today. And we're just going to run.
Thank you very much, Nancy. It was a lovely time, like always.
All right. Bye bye. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.